What is quacking, everybody? So Persona 5X just came out last Thursday, and I've been playing it because I was excited for more Persona, and it's a game. I was fiending for it. I've played so much Persona over the past couple years, Persona 3, 5, I got videos on this channel, so I was excited to get my hands on Persona 5X. However, it is a gacha game. That's what made me slightly apprehensive on playing it, is these gacha games. You know, my experience with them has not been the greatest. I used to play one back in the day called Brave Frontier, and that to me is probably one of the peak of gacha games because it was just very nice and easy to get into and play, and there was lots of things to do in Brave Frontier. So that standard has been set pretty high, and I've tried playing, more modern gacha games, the Genshin Impact, the Honkai Star Rail, the Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves. I've tried playing some of these games, and they've been extremely lackluster and quite frankly terrible. I'm gonna be honest, they haven't been the best gacha games. They have some redeeming qualities, but for the most part, I just dislike them, especially Zenless Zone Zero. So I was like, man, I really hope Persona 5X is not gonna follow in the same vein, but I gave it a shot. I loaded up the game, and I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't gonna be sitting here wasting my time. Full disclaimer, I'm going into full-on spoilers for everything. I'll be talking about the story and just a lot of, everything about the game. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the game or anything, just go play it. It's literally free. It's going to take you some time to get through some stuff, but, it's a Persona game. If you like Persona, you're probably going to enjoy this. Now, I know I stated earlier that I dislike a lot of the current gacha games, and, I love Persona very much, so I'm going to try and come off as non-biased as possible, but there will be some bias, unfortunately. But overall, my biggest gripe that I've had with the other gacha games is that it's just a yap fest. It is just a yap fest, and the story is cringy or just very mediocre at points and just draws out. Sometimes they have good stories. Like in Honkai, I think the first arc would have been great if they cut out a lot of the bloat. There was just so much bloat in that first arc that prevented it from being like this amazing thing. It was just this long yap fest of running around doing nonsense for so long just to get to the final boss. You're just like, yep, okay, cool. And also with, the current day Hoyo games, a lot of the stuff that they throw at you is event stuff and different type of story stuff that really throw off the pacing of a new player, or the pacing just outright broken, like in Zenless Zone Zero. The pacing is absolutely broken, but that's a video for another day. In Persona 5X, however, everything is very straightforward. If you only care about the story, you can just play the story. There is no qualms. The game doesn't want to toss you around. The game isn't like, go here, do that. There are, obviously some points where it just wants to show you the mechanics, but the game, or like the way the developers designed it, is so good because they're just like, yeah, so here's these mechanics. Like after you get to like this point that we want you to get to, just go do these real quick. Just like go get these out of the way and then come back and it's fine. And it doesn't even take that long. Like there was a section where it showed you how to cook, plant, and there was like another third thing that it showed you how to do or whatever. And it just like put that all at the end of everything else that it was doing story-wise. It's just like, yeah, no, it's just all over here. Just like go do that real quick and you're good. But otherwise, my biggest gripe with the games has been basically, addressed in this game. Like I feel like I can just do the thing I want to do. I can just go play the story. I can just go do this one thing, and I don't feel super restricted or like the game is doing a bunch of different things to throw me off the pace of whatever's happening, and it doesn't feel drawn out or stretched out. I will say, however, because I played Persona 5 before, a lot of the information that the game gave me with, in terms of story and lore and stuff like that. I already knew all that, so that was technically kind of like a waste of my time because I already knew everything. Like, it explains the metaverse and stuff like that in the game, and I'm just like, well, I've played Persona 5 before, so I already know everything there is to know about the game. But obviously, it's for new players, it's a free game, so it's just like, oh, maybe people who've never played Persona before are going to jump into this and we need to explain everything. So I can forgive it for that. Like, that's just like a me thing. Like, yeah, I played the game before, I know what you're talking about. But overall, the pacing and everything, it felt very on point. It took me about 20 hours to clear the first chapter and story, which I would say is on par with most Persona games, maybe a little bit longer, but I was also exploring and, getting used to the game and everything. So there was that exploration aspect to the game, and I was doing side quests and stuff like that. But compared to an actual Persona game, I would say like it might have been just a little bit more, but like it was still pretty on point with like the timing of everything. So I'm happy with the timing because I know for a fact when I was playing, Honkai, Genshin, and Zenless, like those stories just took forever to get to the end. They took me like, 30, 40 hours just to get through one point. And it's just like, I don't need this yap fest. Those games have so much bloat and yapping and BS in them that it just draws them out, and it's like really obnoxious compared to Persona 5 X, where it's just like, yeah, I'm in it and I'm just doing things. So that point, I just am very happy with that. And another thing is some of these, other gacha games, they have really cringy and corny stories. The story for Persona 5 X there's definitely feels like there's a bunch of different, weird plot points and stuff like that will be expanded upon as you go through the game. So the start of the game is like the intro to Persona 5. It's like right there, you're playing as Joker, but there's like a weird glitch, and then you turn into Wonder, and then you just, at the end of that first segment, Wonder shoots Joker in the face, and they were fighting, and then he just shoots him in the face, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So like the story's already like kicking off greatly, and it's just a very good Persona-esque feeling. And that's why when Atlus was doing their interview with Persona 5, they were like, before we release it to the West and stuff like that, we know the West loves the audience, we vetted the story to make sure that it was good enough for the Western audience. And they started off really strong. I know some of these gacha games do start off really strong. They have insane starts, like with Genshin, you're starting off fighting this god who just like is just stronger than you and just teleports you and your brother away. She's like, no, you guys are too pathetic and weak. But like with that strong intro compared to other games, like it kept that momentum, it kept it going. Because then after that, it's just like you wake up and then you just got to do your Persona-y stuff, and you start to learn what the game, the themes are going to be about. And then some lady jumps off a building, and you're like, that's crazy. Like it's just insane, some of the stuff that happens in this game early on. Like really does a lot. There's a lot of, it really sets up, the beginning really sets up the world building. And it's very nice. It obviously brings in new players, but also, as much as I have to sit through some other stuff, it's very nice. Also it ties in, the newer stuff as well. So it does a good job at, early on building up everything for, getting into the game. Like I already knew where it was going to go. I played Persona 5, so I knew what was going to happen. We're going to get into a palace and all these other things. So it was definitely a decent build up to it, with Lufel, meeting Lufel, and just going through all these different things where you accidentally click yourself into the metaverse and you end up in Mementos and stuff like that in your Persona Awakening. So it was kind of neat and unique in a way. It was, not as similar to Persona 5, where they accidentally, end up in the metaverse. It's just like, you get bumped and you're just like, oh, I'm in the metaverse now. And then you and Lufel are fighting shadows, and then you summon your Persona. So it was a pretty decent opening. And then, of course, it's time for your, like, first palace and stuff like that. And, like, when you're, like, at first, let me backtrack a little bit. At first, when you summon your Persona and stuff, and, like, you're fighting shadows, like, Joker comes out and helps you, and then he fucking vanishes, and you're just like, what just happened? So, like, that's what I mean. Like, there's, like, a bunch of different plot points. There's, like, the Joker showing up, and they kind of tie in, like, the idols and the cognition and stuff like that into the story as well, with the summonings and everything like that. So it's, like, you got to figure out these weird cognitions that just, like, showed up out of nowhere. And then you have, the other plot of, like, Lufel. Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be similar to something that Morgana had, but, who knows with that. but Lufel's like, oh, I need to find my memories or whatever. And then you also got to stop people's palaces. So there's like 3 different types of like plot points going on at once, and you got all this stuff. And then there's like a 4th one that does kind of crop up as well, where your character can like see visions of the future if you don't stop things from happening. So when you go into the first palace and like you're gearing up to confront the first person and stuff like that, you see a vision of him body checking like a lady and her baby, and the baby dies. And I'm like, whoa, they went there. They killed a baby. They didn't really kill a baby, but it's just like, if you don't stop this guy, he's gonna kill a baby and injure them. Like, that was insane to me. So that was like top tier, like, oh, urgency. Let's do this. Let's get this going. So you just follow up with that. You try and stop them. You get all, the lore and stuff and the different backstory of the 3 characters, Tomoko and Motoha. You get their backstories and how they're intertwined with him. And at first, when I learned about him being evil, at first it's just like they just kind of played off as like some little kid hit his pitch and hurt his ego. But once you get into his palace, it's like, no, this dude was like trash towards women. Like, he was like out here just like abusing women and thinking of women as, personal gain and stuff like that. So it's very nice that, they didn't just go, oh, his ego got hurt a little bit because a child hit his pitch. It was like, nah, he just had some more nefarious things going on. And I guess he got embarrassed a little bit and just couldn't recover from embarrassment. And, he just went on abusing women. So, yeah, he just abuses women. You end up stopping him. The boss battle was very fun. I enjoyed the boss battle. It had 3 stages. It was very nice. Just going through the different cinematics and stuff, the different phases. It was similar to Kamoshida's boss fight in Persona 5, the regular Persona 5 game, the actual Persona 5 game. It was similar to that boss fight. But it had, different mechanics, but it was overall very easy. Obviously, it had to be easy. It's the first boss fight in like a free-to-play game. Gotcha. They want to, have their, people keep coming back. So overall, boss fight was pretty easy, but also I pulled Joker, so the boss fight was just going to be trivial anyways, But yeah, I grinded. I got through the boss fight. It was a very fun boss fight. I enjoyed it. And then, you have the ending with the treasure and all that other stuff, and he turns himself in. And overall, it was not as corny or lame. Everything felt right to the point. It was, right there. And I was worried at the beginning that they were going to hold my hand a lot through the palace. But once you get into the palace, you can kind of just do whatever in the palace. You can just sit there forever. And the palace felt bigger than regular palaces in Persona 5. Like, it could be me misremembering or whatever, but like, thinking back to Persona 5, like, this palace felt huge. Like, I didn't get to explore the rest of the palace, and I need to go back. And they also make it so you can go back to the palaces. That's a neat mechanic where if you don't collect everything, you go back, which is nice. But also, that needs to be an option because I can't make lockpicks yet. I don't know if that's just a skill issue on my part, but I don't have any lockpicks, and the materials to make them are pretty rare. So could be a skill issue on my part. I don't have any, lock picks to get some of these chests, but the palaces are very expensive, expansive, very fun to explore. I went through, I just try and did as much as I can. Some of the puzzles are, I'm definitely missing some stuff because there's some, areas and stuff I need to still access and figure out the puzzles for them. I just need to explore the palace a little bit more. But overall, the palace was just very nice, expansive, fun to explore. Didn't hold my hand and just let me run through the palace as much as I wanted to up until, you get to the end where, oh, I gotta, get ready for the boss and send the calling card or whatever, which they do make you have to be level 30 with wonders. So you gotta level them up, which is kind of annoying, but it's whatever. I was already close to level 30 at that point, as you're just playing through the game. So getting there was pretty easy and stuff like that. So exploring the palace and just kind of, the main story was really fun overall. It didn't gap. There was no dragging for me. There were a little bit of dragging. I will say that it was kind of dragging, but it was definitely not as yappy and dragging on as playing Hoyo games. Like, it was just really straightforward and easy to get into, and I am very appreciative of that. And I'm appreciative that the story isn't some cringe fest, or they're just like, oh yeah, this thing is happening. So yeah, I'm very happy that it's not cringe, and it's pretty decent. The side quests as well are also not really annoying. They're a little bit boring though, I will say that. But they're boring in the sense that it's more of like a reality drama TV show sense, where it's like, that's not my cup of tea type deal. I think some people will enjoy the side quests because they're really humanizing. They really give off, like, the side quests are really like down to earth, realistic things that can happen. One of the side quests that, you know, I remember, as much as like it was a little bit, you know, boring and it was just like, you know, family drama type stuff, like the girl wants to be a nurse, but her father wants her to run the store, and he's injured and he's getting older, and she just wants to be a nurse like her mom because her mom died. And you get to sit there and just kind of help them deal with the family matters, and it just felt very real and normal and relatable, because that's, you know, something we've all had to deal with. We've all had to deal with family matters and stuff. So the side quests felt very humanizing, and I appreciate the down-to-earth aspect of these type of side quests where it's just like, yep, this is what people do daily. There's another side quest where you, like, you know, you help this guy get confidence to ask out girls, and, you know, you stop him from getting scammed, and you help this girl leave her job. So it's like really normal stuff. It's kind of like boring in the sense of like, yeah, this is kind of like a TV drama, but they're a lot better and less tedious than, you know, other gacha game side quests that like are just really out there. And I will say probably the human aspect of the Persona side quest does make it easier to deal with them, because it's just like, while I'm not super enthusiastic about them, I do feel I do get a little something, you know. It's just like, oh, I can relate to that, or like, oh, I've, you know, had friends who have dealt with something like that, you know, things along those lines, where it's just like, maybe these, you know, quests didn't like affect you or whatever, but like they could have, you know, you could relate to them a little bit. And I think that makes it easier than, you know, some other games for sure. Just even like bigger games as well, where the side quests are like crazy, or, you know, stuff like that. But I think the side quests are pretty enjoyable for the most part, and kind of, you know, expand upon the world in a sense. So it was very nice, you know, side quest wise as well. Now, the gameplay is similar turn-based to Persona. There are some key differences. However, the biggest difference is when you hit an enemy with a weakness, it does, the baton pass is different, and you know, you only get to pick another character and they do their own attack. You don't get to pick what attack they do, unfortunately, which is kind of annoying. So they'll always do like a single attack on the enemy that they deal weakness damage to, which is kind of annoying. I would like to have full control of the character, but that's just the mechanic of the game. And, you know, it's fine. It's whatever. But also, dealing with the personas and stuff like that is a little bit different as well, with all of the skills. And you can give personas other skills as well, which is very nice. Like, if you have a persona token and you want to give another persona a skill from that persona, you have to like fuse them, and it's kind of RNG based, which really sucks, unfortunately, because I'm trying to get like decent skills on the main character's persona so I can use them more, and I just can't seem to get them, which is unfortunate. To just get RNG'd out and unlucky, unfortunately. And then most of the mechanics are your stereotypical gacha mechanics. You have your grinding aspects where you have to get the materials for, you know, leveling up, overclocking, and, you know, all that other stuff for your characters and weapons to make them stronger with the leveling up system. There's these Velvet Trials, which I like these very much. Like, it's similar to the trials in Persona 5, where you have to, you know, just get a certain score or whatever, and you get 3 stars. I like those very much, and they're very rewarding because they give you a currency that you can exchange in the exchange shop, which is very nice. So I really like the Velvet Trials. And I like the aspects of the gacha in this game. Like, it's very nice. You know, the persona touch is very strong with this, and I think it's been very good overall. They made Mementos very, like, it scales really weird to a degree. Like, the first 2 floors of Mementos, I haven't gone past floor 4. I haven't beat that boss yet because I was under level 30. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. But for the most part, there's like side bosses in Mementos, and the first 2 floors are fine. But then you get to the 3rd floor, and it's like the side boss is like level 38, and they got like crazy mechanics that you have to deal with. And it's like, all right, I'm not built for this yet. And it was like, please be level 41 before trying this. I'm like, all right, whatever, game. Thanks for telling me I suck, I guess. So that was pretty interesting. I like that aspect where it's like, it gave me a sense of challenge to come back to. So that was nice as well. And this game has a lot of stuff to do. There's the Thieves' Den in this game, and there's stuff in the Thieves' Den to do. The dailies, I like the dailies a lot more because it gives me a sense of, doing stuff in the game. I feel like with other gacha games, it's just like, yeah, go do this like 30-second task that means nothing. Like the dailies are go play the game, go do this, like do things in the game. So I'm really appreciative that like the dailies are like actively getting me out there and playing the game. And the way the game is designed and everything, like everything is like really easy to get to. Everything is just menuized for the most part. Like it's really easy to just navigate the menu, get things, and just kind of do things. I know you can do that with the other gacha games as well, but like I don't know, this just feels a lot easier. I could be wrong. It's been it's been a couple months since I've logged into ZZZ and Honkai, but like from what I remember, those things were like a little bit more on the annoyance side for me, and just like trying to like get through everything as compared to Persona. It just feels a lot easier and cleaner for the most part. This game's also heavily free-to-play friendly. Like I don't feel like I have to buy anything, and the way the game is definitely designed, it definitely doesn't feel like you need to spend money to enjoy the story at all. Like I said, for early on in this video that I said, like you can just get in here, and if you only care about the main story, yes, it's going to make you grind to level 30 if you're not at level 30. But other than that, if you just want to play the story, you can. I don't have to interact with the Thieves' Den at all. I don't have to interact with any of the side content. I don't have to do any of that. Unless the game says, oh, you need to be this level to beat this boss. But besides that, I can just play the game and do what I want with the game. So like if you're a person who, if you really wanted to max out Wonder, so that way the game isn't going, oh, you need to be this level. Like if you just get to level 70, which I believe is the level cap right now, if you just get to level 70, you're set forever. Like if you really like Persona and you just want to grind that out, get to level 70, and then for the rest of this game's lifespan, you just want to play the story, it very well seems that you can just do that. Compared to other games where it's just like, especially Zenless is so guilty of this, where it's just like, oh yeah, so like here's the main story, now go do this story, now go do this. Like, are you confused yet on what story you're doing? Are you confused yet? Oh well, how about this thing? Oh yeah, this thing that looks cool right here, that's better than the story you just witnessed. Yeah, screw you, you go watch this cringe story about a machine being in love with a building. Yeah, go do that. So I don't feel like that at all. I just feel like I get to log in, play the game, and that's it. And like, I guess you can kind of do that with, you couldn't really do that with Genshin either. I was going to say you could do that with Genshin. You couldn't, because when I was playing Genshin, the thing that made me stop was I just really wanted to beat Inazuma's story. And for the life of me, they're just like, yeah, go listen to like Ayaka yap for like hours, and then go listen to Yoimiya yap for hours, and then I got to the next story part, and then after that they're like, yeah, no, go listen to the mermaid girl yap. I totally forgot her name. They're like, go listen to her yap forever. And I was in that, I was trying to listen to the story, and I was there for 45 minutes of a cutscene, dude. I could not. And that's the thing that killed me. With this game, there's none of that. They get straight to the point for the most part. Like, yes, there's some yapping and stuff like that, but that's what comes with a Persona game. Like, Persona games do have those sections for the most part. Like, it's story, though. You're getting to listen. And especially what I find funny is there's one part where this lady comes up to you, and, she's like a Persona user as well. Spoiler, and I'm very interested in her because I feel like that's like lore right there. I'm very interested in her, but she comes up and Lufel's like, oh, she's gonna talk for a while, and then just cuts away to her stop talking, and she's like, that's so cool. You listen to her talk for a little bit, and then Lufel's like, oh, this is gonna go on forever, and then she's like, okay, end of conversation. But back to that lady, I forgot what she was, but she's like a very strong support unit right now. Like, she's being used by like everybody, and I'm interested in her because she's an older person, and from Persona 3, 4 and 5, as far as we've seen, like, there's been, like, besides Adachi, and I guess you can say, like, the delivery guy who was, like, throwing people on TVs to say them in 4, there really hasn't been, like, adult Persona users. And I guess there was also, what's his face, the psychiatrist from Persona 5 Royals, the true ending. But he wasn't in the original Persona 5. But in Royals, yes, he does have a persona. So there's only been like two for sure. I would say the guy who threw people in the TVs in 4, his wasn't really persona, it was more of a shadow or whatever. But besides that, like, we really haven't seen too many adult persona users at all. I don't think there's any in 3. Because Ikutsuki never had a persona, and I believe Mitsuru's dad never summoned a persona either. So I think it's just all, you know, I guess, like, if you want to count Gun Jesus as an adult, like, they were experimented on, so, like, their personas were very artificial. So they were persona users, but they're artificial. So, like I said, there's very rarely adult persona users. So I'm hoping this character shows up more in the story. I haven't made it to the second palace yet. I think I'm going to wait because the boss of the second palace isn't there yet. So I think I'm going to wait until the boss comes out before I play it. I'll see how I feel about that. But overall, just, like, there's, like, some cool lore implications. I'm excited for the story. Like, I think it's very interesting. All the different plot points, like, oh, what's going on with these shadow idol things that you see? Like, Joker came out and helped you and vanished, and you had visions of Joker. Because there is the event right now with, like, Joker and, you know, the Phantom Thieves, but that's not, it's an event. I don't think it's, like, really canon or anything. Like, it's not really, you know, anything crazy. So I don't know if it's canon or not in the game because it is an event. So I guess, like, you know, we'll have to see with that because the event's also time gated right now. That's one of, you know, an issue where the event's time gated. It's not heavily time gated though. Like, every, like, couple days they're releasing a couple more missions. So it's nice that they're kind of, you know, drip feeding it a little bit faster than normal games drip feed it. Like, some games are just like, yeah, so this week here's one mission, and then next week here's one more mission, and then by the time we're done with all these missions, oh, it's been like 3 months. So, you know, something like that where, like, the events, you know, just drag on. But for this, it seems like the event's going by a little bit fast. So very, very hype about everything. And there's some new music in the game as well. There is some new music that really slaps. Some of the new battle music and, you know, stuff like that. Like, most of the music is Persona 5 music, but there's a couple new battle songs, and those things go hard. So with all that being said, Persona 5X, I think, is fairly decent. I don't think it's gonna compete with the big 3. I do think it's interesting and cool, but, like, at best, I think it would probably just be better than Persona 4 based on the story. But besides that, like, I don't think it's going to, like, be like this insane revolutionary Persona game that's, you know, oh, the story's locked behind this gacha, you know, system. Because very free to play friendly. I, like, literally have so many units, so many good things right now in the game. And it's just been fun. It's just been fun. I like how, even with all these systems in place, I kind of just feel like I can do whatever I want. I can just ignore what I want. I don't feel pressure to have to do all these missions compared to other gacha games where I do feel pressure to do missions all the time. So very nice, very fun. Enjoyed, you know, Persona 5X. It's been fun. I'm going to keep playing it until, you know, it sucks, and then I'm not going to play it anymore. But yeah, if you've been playing it, let me know. Let me know how you enjoy it. If this turned you on to possibly playing the game, I hope you enjoy it. And if you made it this far, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.